Gentlemen, welcome to Hearts of Iron. A little over a month ago, President Donald Trump invaded our beautiful and free nation of Venezuela, kidnapping our glorious, non-war crime committing leader, Maduro. However, after some shenanigans, we have managed to escape and return home with the U.S. hot on our trail. Our first move was to supplement our impressive fleet of 15 ships with ships from all over, including the EU, Russia, and China. You can see. Why is the EU betraying the Americans, you may ask? Well, unfortunately for Trump, he annexed Mexico, Canada, and Greenland, promptly having NATO dissolve and the EU siding with us. Fortunately for our great leader as well, President Trump himself was ousted after a MAGA civil war, allowing us to gain a foothold in the Caribbean and in Florida, where many Cubans, who share more in common with us and our great nation, decided to join our cause against J.D. Vance, who has ousted the United States president. Hearts of Iron is a rather complicated game. It's a little bit more complicated than things like EU or things like From the Depths, I would even say. So, our first move is going to be devise a strategy. If we zoom into Florida here, as you can see, we have 16 divisions. Unfortunately, these are veterans from the occupation of the Caribbean. They're all veteran. However, they are not as good as you'd think they are. With only support modern tanks and a couple helicopter recon infantry support companies, we're not going to be able to hold Florida for very long. That may seem like impressive soft attack, but the United States does have Delta Force. So unfortunately for our Cuban compadres, we're going to have to pull out of Florida, at least for the time being. And we're going to send them, probably, to our great city of Caracas. Additionally, we have over 75 infantry divisions, as well as a couple light artillery brigades. That's what it's called. However, I believe they might actually be our glorious paratrooper division. Very important paratrooper divisions. They're going to play a very big deal in the actual gameplay of this. See, Venezuela is not going to be able to beat the American Empire without a little bit of help. So that's why we're going to be allied with the EU and Russia and China. Though Russia and China are probably not going to help us out. Okay, here are the paratroopers. However, as anybody who's played the glorious game known as Hearts of Iron, you will all know that paratroopers are usually banned in multiplayer games for one reason alone. They're very overpowered. So, in the mod I'm making, this is a mod I've made. You can actually even make it crazier because there's these. Now, you're like, why are there so many different transport planes? And why does it say 40 kilometers? Well, if you use your handy-dandy calculator, when you paratroop with the super transport planes, you're going to notice that there is no range that they cannot parachute to. So, by any means, if we get air superiority over the East Coast, we can take simultaneously Boston, New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, Norfolk, which is pretty important. We can even take Los Angeles, San Francisco, and even Sacramento, all from the glorious and safe place of the Venezuelan palace. Additionally, after our increased relationships with the East, we've acquired enough uranium to build some nuclear submarines. Why are nuclear submarines important? Well, with the new mod, they are the meta. They're nearly undetectable, and some of you who are super keen-eyed to Hearts of Iron, you'll know that typically the submarines that are maxed out in this game are already they are already typically banned in multiplayer. I extended the tech tree. We don't really need any of these. We're just going to spam submarines. Submarines are very important in this game. It's kind of necessary as well due to us being a smaller economy. But what can we do about that? Well, of course, we can survive and revive Bolivar's legacy. Unfortunately, we're going to need to take out everybody else in this entire South American continent and then move up towards the Americans. However, unlike most other countries who have to take and annex people by force, this guy, we're able to negotiate with our fellow Spanish-speaking world, and actually they just join us because they would rather not face Venezuela, and they would rather join against the Americans than have to get ruled by the Americans. So, very good for us. As far as the nation building part of this, our nation is quite strong. As far as base game Venezuela goes, we are a lot stronger. However, we can be more strong. We can be even stronger. So, how are we going to do that? We're going to immediately, since we're at close to our building cap, we're going to just say, screw it. Maduro has never cared about his civilians. Actually, sorry. Our great leader always cares about his civilians. That's why we will be taking off most of our consumer goods, and we're going to be converting them to military factories. And once we do that, we'll be able to hopefully outproduce the Americans after we start conquering a little bit of Mexico and maybe even uniting some of South America. Now, the elephant in the room is very clear. How are we going to beat America? They are so huge. And there's a little bit of a problem. If you haven't noticed with America, they're going to have these. And these are very, very strong. They will destroy me. However, there is a teeny bit of an exploit in this game. You see, I'll have to fix this up a little bit, but we can take our glorious Division de Infanteria and we'll be able to attach anti-air battalions to, where are they? To the actual division. And once we do that, we'll have a little bit, just a tiny bit of anti-air. Well, we already do have a lot because it's basically a maxed out division. But with enough anti-air attack, we'll be able to change our fortunes. Because right now, we have a lot of planes in reserve. Like, we have a lot of second-gen fighters, but these things are going to get absolutely obliterated by J.D. Vance's entire Air Force. Unlike other countries, we actually do not have the ability to make nuclear bombs yet. However, it will be important in 3,000 days that we'll be able to do that. I don't know if it'll take that long to beat the Americans. Hopefully not. But we all know Hearts of Iron. So, it'll be a wonder weapon for later. The first biggest decision early on is who I want to start diplomacy with first. Obviously, for this one, I chose Peru. Despite our best efforts, our great nation will inevitably have to rely on our allies, the EU, for help here. And it's already seen that they are occupying Florida. Poor saps don't know I immediately left and plan on letting the Americans take it back. After some minor struggle, we have finally regained the ability. Oh, behold, the Cheese Plus division now fit with anti-air. See, it's kind of a void of supply that we're going to have to initially get past, but eventually we will be able to gather enough anti-air and slowly drain the United States of its large air force, which it definitely outnumbers us quite a bit. The big question in the room, I'm guessing still, is when are we actually declaring war on the United States? Well, unfortunately, I only have until the end of 37 or 36 to declare that war. So it's like a typical Japan game where you have to declare war, around the turn of 37. We'll keep building the nation. Like any homeless bum, I'm going to have to bum some large and thick daddy tanks from the east. Isn't socialism great? Why, yes, of course I went for mass assault. Is it good in this game? Not really. But why not? Just to show off the paratrooper abilities here. Obviously, this thing is ridiculous. You can parachute anywhere. And just like in real life, they can't help themselves. And because they like doing this to us as American citizens, we're going to declare war on the United States while everyone is sleeping. Christmas. And just like that, Venezuela retaliated. We pretty much immediately started losing. As you can see, I annexed these countries because I want the U.S. to push up into Nicaragua. And once I annex Nicaragua, well, they can't go through Nicaragua until I annex them. So basically, I can't start the land war with America until America wants me to fight them, or until I want to fight them, sorry. That way, well, it's on my terms, which usually is pretty cheese, but we all know that this game is often hit or miss. Oh, crap. Well, we'll see how our nuclear subs do immediately. We're getting naval invasion. Where is the naval invasion? Unfortunately, it seems democracy has really failed J.D. Vance here. Only 841 planes. Immediately, it looks like it might be time to strike, because we'll have the air advantage. That's why you don't get rid of the draft, gentlemen. Fortunately, there wasn't enough European lives I could throw away immediately. So what we see here is the U.S. advancing on our position with only glorious, free Venezuelans to die in front of them. Come on, Europe. Do better. Unfortunately, we're running into our first major problem. Manpower. Despite our increased national size after an alliance with most of South America, we are truly lacking in the manpower region. So what are we to do? Well, clearly, we need to take Mexico. The only way to do that is to win. There's no way without any sort of like air support I can take on those Abrams. Luckily, we do have green air. Need to send more CAS at them. CAS is very important in the game. Not forget. The meme is CAS is king. But we don't believe in kings here. We only believe in His Majesty, President General, Admiral, Prime Minister Maduro. And with enough cast, we're pushing their tanks with infantry. Luckily, I think the AA is doing its job. Let's just check. Oh yeah, 39 enemy air units shot down. Very good. I believe J.D. Vance will run out of jet fighters by the end of the war. As far as the other fronts go, we did repel some naval invasions in Cuba. However, the Cubans in Florida did not rise up against J.D. Vance and the rest of America. Who'd have thought? A global minority within the city, state was, could have sworn they were going to uprise. And immediately we saw some very nice success. Luckily, the U.S. Navy was kind of left out in the open, and our light cruisers, looks like, destroyed and devastated some of their early level ships. These heavy ships don't really matter. We're after, actually, the Trump class battleships, which are going to be pretty difficult to destroy, but once we destroy them, and if we destroy them, we might actually win this naval war. However, we don't know actually where they are. The Pacific Fleet is very strong, and they're kind of scary. The U.S. also has 38 divisions, and they're about to get encircled here if I can actually push them. This will be a big deal, if we can pull it off. Look at that. Success. Encirclements are very important in this game, as you can probably tell. Fortunately, really are running out of manpower, which I can do. Even to do service by requirement, I need a surrender. It's not good. I don't have any of those. Build more. That's great. Well, it sounds like I need to go down mass assault more. Is this even the one that gives you extra? Potentially not. Oh no. Oh no. Might have already gotten the... But if I can get this nasty encirclement, folks, this will be quite nasty. That U.S. troops were circled on my... Yeah, well, actually, no. I'm American. I'm not an international guy. I have no idea. Not my job. Should have changed that. It's the biggest regret in the mod. Not changing it to... Unfortunately, it's already kind of a stalemate. We lack the cast to really dominate this area. Further support by the Europeans will be screwed. Clearly, Maduro is going to need additional task. The beauty of it really is that we're already making them suffer mass attrition on this Yucatan Peninsula here. Fortunately, manpower is still mobilized very slowly. Our glorious leader grants us a lot of land power, but eventually we'll get it all. But for now, we can't. Can't afford it all. So, clearly, we're having some major... Fortunately, I think they are as well. One reason we're still in this is because they have not managed their manpower very well. They've put it all into infantry. All of it. And infantry is great and all, but you do need an air force, and that's weird to say, but I've already gained air superiority somewhat over the Americans. Unlikely, but it's happened. If we can hold here, can maybe eventually clean up this encirclement and then move in. Usually that's a good sign. We have them up to 57, 56 attrition. Those tanks are going to start dying soon. It's not good. Definitely don't want to be getting pushed at this moment. The Abrams tanks that they have are a lot better than our tanks as well. We're only using the T-80s and whatever the Russians could give us at the time. Unfortunately, I think they are surrounded. And just like that, we've actually caused the Americans to lose more than our entire alliance combined. Not very impressive, seeing as there's not too many casualties going on right now. But we're close. I can almost smell Mexico City. It does smell very, very much far away, though. This is going to be an annoying assault right here. Not going to have capacity to do it. Don't think. Wait, they're just not going to put tanks here. They're not going to put tanks here at all. And wow, we've shortened the front to only 2 provinces. Pretty interesting. Kind of was going to happen this way, but this is usually a good sign. Getting 13 or so of the 13 or so cast damage. Very good, very good. They might be getting encircled here at Villahermosa too. Oh, that is Delta Force, I think. Yep, that is a Delta Force icon. The 1 to 2, the little green thing there. Super green. We cannot push those. We will be screwed. We try to push those, so good to go now. But well, they said no, don't want circled. It's kind of hard to push with just infantry, but pushing. More ground crews down. I think that'll help. Really lucked out here with some of these cast situation. With another impromptu naval invasion Americans done. We managed to sink a few more ships. However, there's still no sign of any super carriers or any super battleships. Quite unfortunate. But maybe it's for the best. The submarines have proven to be very decisive in this. We have bought a couple Soviet-era submarines. Our gracious European allies are still not giving us any real tank lend-lease, so we're kind of still just... Uh-oh. We're just still getting off our feet. It's very unfortunate. We are really struggling with it. But the biggest problem is manpower, and also the Europeans are not giving us any tanks. They're like, nope, you build your own tanks. Nothing. You're kind of at a stalemate. Very unfortunate. We again go for another encirclement. So Unfortunately, they have 4 tank divisions there. So we basically have to send in guys to pin them before they can uh, attack again. And it's very annoying, but I get this encirclement. Definitely don't want trying to pin this too. The AI in this game, it gets a bad rep, but it does try to prevent encirclements, which is kind of like all you need it to do. I will say, not the worst game ever. There are definitely worse ones. Oh, very big deal right here. May not look like much, but that is a huge encirclement. And slowly they'll be starting to get attrition because of our naval. Is one encirclement cleaned up? Actually, have to move. We're going to keep industrializing. I gave everybody basically the basic focus tree. It's not really necessary in this map. The Allies are super heavy bombing us right now, and, well, we don't have any bombs or bomb targets here, so it's unfortunate for them. Kind of a waste of fuel. This is what they're doing with your tax dollars. Acapulco will hopefully fall here. Uh-oh. That is a lot of enemy tanks. Using some air supply, I've managed to get my guys refreshed in Acapulco. Unfortunately, the industry is kind of battered right now. I have no idea how we're even holding around still, but we're getting there. Hopefully soon we can get some boots across this area here and into Mexico City. Mexico City will provide us so much resources, it's not even funny. Beauty of it is really power. Early January, we managed to push into Veracruz forcefully and encircle a few in the map. Oaxaca. Just gonna say it with confidence. And just like that, we were on the gates of Mexico City. Just like that, we were pushing into Mexico City. Fortunately, to make sure that no enemy infantry could truly stop us. Cass is really a miracle, isn't it? Look at that. Beautiful. Oh, look at that. Our Kirovs have taken some guys down. And we have our first actual tank division out there, too. Finally. The front line is kind of just stabilized here. I don't have enough Cass, and they don't have enough men. So, let's see how it goes. Oh, I just took out that Delta Force division. Maduro has been avenged. Well, he got his vengeance on Delta Force there. Or whatever they did to his wife or whatever. Wait a minute, what? As far as field marshal things go, I always select logistics wizard and a thorough planner. Very good. Both are very important, I would say. Just because of how much planning and supply is important in this game. But things are going fairly well after taking out Delta Force. They haven't really been able to push, but the unfortunate reality is our Air Force is just taking up so much manpower. Something's going on with our manpower still. Unfortunate. But we're getting there. We're almost getting there. It's been a couple more months, hopefully. With a big fat planning bonus.
and the enemy having a lack of manpower, we're able to quickly and swiftly push up from Mexico. Look at that. Once we started getting manpower, we kind of started killing it. Beautiful. Now, I don't know if our planes have managed to get going here. The question is, what is next after taking the Rio Grande? You may ask and be curious. It's natural. We're going to sweep up the Great Plains and split America in half. And then, upon finishing that, we are going to finally hit them with a rather brutal air attack. Evidently, the United States is not even 1% towards capitulation. Interesting. Well, soon we'll be getting U.S. core territory, which Mexico does not count as core territory. But Canada does, because they speak English. And therefore, culturally, they also like hockey, apparently. They really like hockey. I didn't know how much Canadians liked hockey. But if we can take Los Angeles, it'll be a pretty big deal. That being said, the Europeans look like they might be taking it first. Good. Right now, the manpower is very hit or miss. This is why you always burst a pocket when you can. Because look how many guys there are. As well as how many casualties that was. Whoa. Quite a lot. Interesting. Alright, I'm going to start drawing the offensive line up here for this. And the reason we're going to do that is pretty simple. We're also... actually don't have any guys. Okay. But we're slowly building up. We don't have any, you know what? Use some Tortugas. We can always use more missile cruisers. We're going to start slowly building up a presence in Texas or southern Mexico. Or northern Mexico, sorry. Hopefully we can take Baja California too. And we'll see how that goes. We're not maybe immediately going to assault Los Angeles unless they let us walk up and take it. You know? Oh. Well, that's unfortunate. That's for the rest of the mod. This is only a scenario within a mod. Currently, the scenario is only a small portion of what I'm working on here. And that is Los Angeles taken. And the United States is, well, starting to actually consider surrendering soon. However, we're going to first need an actual general here, maybe. Anybody who's actually good at... Huh. And just like that, our paratroopers are ready. They're going to land exactly where I need them to be. However, we're going to soften up the military response the U.S. can possibly give. When we start running into some problems, maybe launch it. Or until we get to the Mississippi. See, this is the problem when you're getting bombed to shit by CAS. CAS really does change everything. So, clearly the U.S. is very strong. The question is, why is Venezuela so strong? And you may wonder. But then you'll ponder and realize, I control like half of South America. Of course I'm strong. Going slow. Launched. Boom. And just like that, Philadelphia falls, Washington falls, New York will soon fall. This is going to be this was a rough operation right here for our friends in America. Additionally, these guys were kind of chilling, but we're going to continue our assault up the west coast, and I think we might end up defeating the United States. Kind of a quick battle. I feel like maybe I made Venezuela a little strong. They are not this strong in real life. This could never happen. That's why it's just kind of funny. It's just a funny scenario. I actually don't have too many opinions on the whole thing that are worth sharing. And look at that. At this point, we are pretty much unstoppable. And we have a beautiful flag and color. Of course, the mission is not done, though. Even if we are to capitulate the Americans right now, the job is not done. Because there's still Europe. Europe hasn't been very nice to us, so they have got to go. And the reason they've got to go? Well, as you can see, the Grand Bolivian Empire here, there's certain parts of it that are missing. At least the Spanish parts. And why do we need the Spanish parts? Well, we need to unite the Spanish-speaking world. And that way, nobody who speaks English ever again will tell us that we don't speak English and that they should leave the country. We're just going to make the country part of our country. That makes sense. Can't complain about Spanish in a Spanish country. See? That's better than learning the actual language. Any second now, and we'll be united. We'll be meeting up like it's the the partition of Poland here. And look at that. Well, let me do this peace treaty real quick, and I'll get back to you. Well, I think that's a beautiful stop for today. We've managed to, well, hold on to a lot of America. We did most of the work, so Europe didn't really have anything to say. They're gonna have some problems, probably invading us. We'll see. I'm gonna go ahead and actually leave the faction and start justifying. Because why not? And mostly, I think we're going to be able to beat them. But I think that's all for today, folks. I think the invasion was pretty cool. It was kind of easy after we took Mexico. And the reason for that is, pretty simply put, the U.S. decided not to use any of their advanced aircraft. They ran out of manpower, I guess. I don't know how. I don't know what J.D. Vance was doing, but he probably shouldn't have been replaced by this guy. That's not how you do politics. So you don't want to get replaced by somebody. Also, the Europeans got Hawaii from me. Very unfortunate, but we're gonna take it back. And as for right now, we have a nearly 300 million man core state population, And I think that'll be quite beautiful to start coring up. But we're also going to have to deal with some pretty nasty occupations here. So next time, hopefully we can take out the Europeans quick. But for now, we're going to bid adieu. If you enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe. Peace.